Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Pethley and I am the owner of Shell's Wreaths and More. And today I'm going to be doing the Trendy Tree February subscription box. With this box you're going to get this beautiful sign, the sunflower with the saying, "You will always be my sunshine." It comes also with 2 rolls of mesh, just standard neutral mesh. It comes with a work frame and these 3 ribbons. Beautiful sunflower ribbon, a Swiss dot ribbon, and a woodsy ribbon. It's got mushrooms in the green, picks up the green. It's going to be a beautiful box. Let's get started. Okay, let's get started. I've already cut some of my mesh. I'm going to use ruffles or cruffles, probably cruffles, on the 18 ties here. But in addition to that, today I'm going to teach you a little trick on how to keep your ribbon tails level and nicely laid out in your wreath. Sometimes when you make a wreath, I've had difficulty getting my ribbons to lay smoothly. So I found this trick and I'm going to teach it to you today. In that case, since we had 2 rolls, I cut 18 pieces of mesh at 30 inches. And now I'm going to cut the remaining mesh at 10 inches. I'm going to need 16 pieces, so I need 8 cuts of this mesh because I'm doing both rolls at the same time. So I just need 8 cuts. Let me roll this out and get a little help here. I'm just going to roll this out to 20 inches, a little bit over 20 inches. Okay, so like I said, I need 8 of these cuts. So I'm going to start at the 20 and 10. Okay, we'll just punch those up. We're going to use these later after we put our ribbon tails on the wreath. Let's just do that a couple more times. And then we'll prep our sign and we'll prep our ribbon tails. Get all that work done so that when we start preparing the wreath, putting it together, we don't have to start and stop each time to get something else together. Okay, so again at the 20 and at the 10. Okay, that's 4 cuts. I just need to do that 2 more times. Put that there to weight it down. Now I'm only doing 16 of these cuts because I don't put ribbon tails on all of my ties. I leave 2 on the top empty. I call that my bow zone, and that's where I'll put the bow. I don't like to put ribbon tails underneath the bow because it just causes more problem for me. And this will help us save a little bit more on the ribbons and things by not having to put them all in each one. I didn't start out doing that to save money, but it is a nice result. Okay, this should be our last cut. And the end of the rolls are pretty tightly wound, so okay, there we go. Now this method also uses up both rolls of this mesh, so you don't have to have this little ends laying around with nothing to do for them. All right, so there we go. Now all of our mesh is cut. Like I said, I have 18 pieces at 30 inches, and then I have 16 pieces, and you can see what's left. Not very much, but certainly won't go to waste. All right, now let's cut our ribbon. We're going to use 16 cuts of this as well. I'm going to do, I'll probably layer these 2 together. And I'm going to use ribbon of my own, and I think I'll put in solid yellow and this sunflower ribbon. So let's go ahead and make 8 cuts of each of these. I'll quickly show you. I have a tool to measure. I cut these at 13 inches. I like that because the ribbon sticks out just beyond the mesh of the wreath, which gives it a good look. Okay, now I'm going to just use this measure, which is set at 13 inches, and I'm just going to count 8 rolls, 8 flips of this. Let's put it here so you can see. Okay, so we have, each loop around is 2 ribbons. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me double check. 4 and 8. There we go. Now I just need my scissors. We're going to dovetail these. All right. So that's 8 pieces. Now to dovetail, you just take the ends, fold it over, and you're going to cut from the fold to the points up at the top on a V, and it creates this V in your ribbon, which is called a dovetail. So we're going to do that on both ends. And on these as well. Cut from the fold over to the points. And fold to the points, and there you have it. I'm going to do that with each of these ribbons, and I'll come right back to you. Now that I have all of my ribbon tails cut to 13 inches and then dovetailed, I'll set those off to the side. And then the last thing we need to prepare is our sign. I'm going to use a stapler to put the sign on. I'm sorry, I'm going to use a stapler to put the chenille stems on the sign so that we can then put it on the wreath. I like to take off these stickers and cut that little thread. There we go. Okay, now just take your pipe cleaners, bend them in half, okay, and I put them on each corner with 2 staples. That sound drives my dogs crazy. I have one dog that's afraid of a leaf falling, so believe me, when she hears this stapler going, she's out of here. Poor thing is afraid of many, many things. And I'll tell you, I live in a state that allows fireworks for New Year's and Christmas, as well as the 4th of July. So those days, she is really very, very nervous. And believe me, we've tried everything. We've tried the thunder vest. We've tried medicating her, which she just unfortunately turns into a zombie. And I just can't do that to her. And my stapler is giving me fits right now. But that easily fixed. I just need to get one more pipe cleaner on. Maybe I won't take a chance. I'll just put one on this one, since it's giving me a little bit of trouble. Okay. Does this happen to you? Just when you got things going smoothly, it just takes one little. Let's try to get this level. Yes, there we go. Okay. I guess I'm not going to push it. We'll just do one in this corner and this corner, but I always add a little bit of glue. Belts and suspenders, doesn't hurt. We'll get this set up, and then we'll be able to make the wreath. And this will all be cooled off and dried by the time we're ready to put it on the sign, the wreath itself. Okay, so let me just put this off to the side so it will cool. And let's start our wreath. All right, now I'm going to do 30-inch ruffles, or I'm going to call them cruffles because that's what they really are. And the reason I use cruffles so many times is because it hides the edge that's cut. It hides this edge right here, okay? And that's the edge that if it's going to fray, most likely would come from here. If you take and turn that in on itself, let's clear this so you can see, give it a curl like that, you'll see that the cut edge is on the inside, so you no longer have to worry about it fraying. Okay, now we're going to take that curl, we're going to scrunch right up the middle till we get to the other edge. Going to make a curl on that edge, and then just bring those two together. And there you go. You have a cruffle. It starts with a curl and then a ruffle in between. Now I turn it over so that all the inner workings are turned down, and I just push it down onto the ring and tighten that up, and just kind of pull it around, and there you go. You have it all right. Just 17 more to do. I'm going to open this up around the edge. Okay, again, just cruffle or curl that first edge in. Okay, then accordion pleat the middle, right down the middle of the mesh till you get to the other end. And then do your curl on that end a couple of times in, and then just finish pinching it together. Now I turn mine upside down. You don't need to. Just do whatever you want to do, but do it consistently. So if you choose to keep it up, all the crinkles upwards, just do it on all 18 of them. That's all you need to do. Just stay consistent with whatever method you choose. Okay, now if you don't have, here's another way to do this. All right, we're going to take one. If you have like a clip like this, chip clip, anything that you can find, what you do is you just do your roll like you've always done. Now clip it and start from the other end. Okay? Now you do the same thing. You're still going to do your curl a couple of times, and then scrunch it right up the middle using your fingers and your thumb, and there you go. Same result, different method. You're going to push it down onto the wreath frame and twist this as tight as you can get it. The tighter you get it, the more that your cruffle kind of comes forward. All right, do one more on camera for you. We're going to do the curl it onto itself to hide those cut ends. Then clip that. Do the same thing on this end. Curl it a couple of times, and then just scrunch right up the middle. And you're just pushing the mesh with your thumb and using your pointer and tall man finger. Let's keep this PG. You're taking and pushing those two fingers and pulling the mesh together like that in an accordion pleat. Okay, I think you all know exactly what I need to do. I'm going to finish up this wreath and I'll come right back to you. We're back, and I just have 2 more cruffles to put on the top. I just wanted to show you one last time and also give you some pointers on putting the cruffle on the top. Okay, we're going to roll it onto itself for the curl, then just scrunch right up the middle, and then create a curl on the other end. Okay. Now when I put this in, I want to make sure that the ones on the bottom are down, and then push this into the wire frame and twist up. And then I just butt these up next to each other. I think that they help lend support to each other that way if they're all like butted up, not laying over each other. Okay, this is our last one. Again, we're going to create that curl on the end. And then just crinkle up the middle, pulling that mesh together. Create the curl and pinch it together. All right, again, make sure the one on the bottom is bent over, and then you put this one in, push it down to the metal as tightly as you can, and then just butt up the sides of the mesh next to it instead of having it lay on top. Okay, so there you have it, our completed frame. Now it's time to put our ribbon tails on. Now to do that, we're going to take our sets. I'm going to pull out one little piece. I can use this clip. Okay, now this mushroom ribbon is a directional ribbon. All the mushrooms are in one direction. So the only importance of pointing that out is that every time you put this ribbon in a tie, just do it the same way. Keep it consistent. All right, so I'm going to lay the green over it and then fold it in and crease the middle. This will help you know where the middle of the ribbon is. And then you're going to just crinkle up the middle. Notice we do a lot of crinkling in wreath making. Okay, now push out the divots, okay, on each side. That's where those ribbons, okay, so that it kind of looks like this. Can you see that? It's arched over. All right. Now, I open up my ties down on the wreath frame. You don't have to, but I do. Just push it in there. Then, now I'm still going to add one more thing to this, but I'm going to show you. See how the ribbons, when I separate the ribbons like this, they kind of get like birds taking flight, all right? So, and then they kind of get scrambled up a little bit. So what I've done, and I've seen this from somebody else, it's not something I invented, but I do know how to do it now. Taking this is our 10-inch piece of mesh that we cut. We're going to make a curl out of that. Just curl it up, all right? Just like this, like a taquito, all right? Now I'm going to push down that middle, just pull it in, all right? So it looks like a bow tie. And I'm going to put this right across my ribbons in the same tie. Now what this does, then I'm going to twist up that tie good, and because we're done with that. Now, if you can see what this does, all right, it gives you one more curl in this, which we like. We like a big fluffy wreath, and it's going to push these ribbons down and keep them straight. They're not going to be, because they have the pressure of that, they're going to actually stay fanned out very nicely for you. And then cover up a lot of that mesh. See how that looks? See how it kind of fans it out? And it's really that taquito piece that's pushing it down and keeping it that way. So let's now do the yellow, the sunflower and the yellow. Neither one of these obviously are directional, so we don't have to worry about that. Again, just pinch it in the middle. Gather it up, push out the divots, the dimples. All right, and we're going to put it in that tie, pushing it down. Just twist it once until we can get that other mesh on there. Take your curl. I'm going to make another curl. All right. Push down in the middle. Just pinch it. We're going to open up that tie again, push it onto the ribbons. And now you can twist that tie up a couple of good times because we're done putting stuff in it. All right? And then just spread out your ribbon tails. Fan them out, just like we did with the green. We're doing it with the yellow. And that curl on the top is going to hold them and keep it in place. They won't get shifty and shift all over the place. And then it will fan it out just like we did on the green. Okay? So we're going to go around and do all of those. And then we'll be all set. Okay. This also saves on fidgeting with your ribbons too. There we go. Okay. I'm going to put in another set of green for you, and then I'll do the rest off camera to save us some time. All right, we're meeting them in the middle. We're going to scrunch right up the middle, push out the dimples from below, and then again, I open up my tie, push it down there, make the curl. All right, push down in the middle, scrunch it, and then just add it right over the ribbon tails in that same tie. And twist it off good because we're done with that. And then just fan out your tails. Okay. Now what I wanted to show you with this clip is you could save a step. You can make your taquito, push down, scrunch it, and then put that there. All right. Now take the next set of ribbons that you're going to use. Fold them in half. Scrunch them up the middle. Push out the divots. Okay, now when you put it in, you open up the tail, the ties, I'm sorry, push the tails in, and at the same time, put your curl in right on top of it, twist it together. You can do it all in one step. Twist up that tie good and tight because you're done with it. And then just separate your tails. Fan them out. And there you go. Now either way, you can do it either way that you want. Just trying to give you some additional ideas, some help to get this process done a little bit quicker. Alrighty. So I'm going to finish up the lower half, the lower rail, and I'll get right back to you. Finish the bottom rail completely. Now we just have to do 6 of the 8 on the top rail. We're going to follow the same way, the same procedure. I'm going to try to make sure that you can see this, but we're going to take Our ribbons, line them up, fold them in the middle, and then scrunch them up, push out the dimples, divots, then open up this tie, put it down in there and push down right into that V, the V of the tie. Now I'm going to quickly take this, make a curl out of it. What I forgot to mention before is that I'm stopping with the cut side down on the bottom. Then I'm pinching it in the middle so that that cut is securely in the bottom of that. Okay. Again, that will help prevent some of the fray possibilities. All right. Twist this in good and tight because we're done. And now we're just going to separate our ties. Kind of curl them under. And you can really see how these ribbons spread out and this extra dimension that the curl gives. So it's serving two functions. It's going to hold your ribbons in the position you want it to be in and give you a little bit of extra dimension on the top of your wreath. Okay, so let's quickly do the remaining. Anytime that I can find a solution to some of the problems that I have experienced in making wreaths, I try to pass them on to anybody who will listen, only because I'm sure we all have the same problems. And it's just helpful to hear how somebody else handles it. You may not want to do it their way, but it is another solution. Okay. Now just spread these out, fan them out. Once those dimples are pushed up, it'll lay a little bit straighter for you. Okay. Just a few more. Let's get our curl real quick. Let's curl it up. That seam is on the bottom. Just pinch it together. And then put it right in there. And give it a good twist. Like crafter sizing, huh? Just 3 more, then 2 more, just 1 more. Sounds so familiar. Okay. Curl on top to hold that position. Spread them out like that. Just two more. Okay. Let's put this curl on it. Again, just roll it together. Cut side on the bottom, pinch together. Alrighty. And we're on our last one. Last set of tails. Pinch those together. Get my last curl. And then just spread them out, fan them. And there we go. The wreath base is complete. Now you're thinking, she missed two. Remember, those are my bow zone. I'm going to put my bow there when I determine the layout of the wreath. In fact, we can do that really quickly. It seems like the words are on the bottom here, so I don't want my bow to overtake those words. So what I'll do is I'll flip the wreath a little bit like this. I'm going to put the bow on the bottom down here so that if it, and this is, I'll put the wreath slightly off center, all right? But that way, if the bow gets, because I make a big bow, it won't impede the words at all, and it won't cover up the beautiful flower. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to make the bow, and then just assemble the rest of the wreath. Okay, so now it's time to make the bow, and the bow is gonna fit here, and we'll put the sign on as soon as we get the bow made. So let's just clear the decks and get working on that bow. Now the kit came with 3 ribbons, 2 2.5-inch ribbons and 1 1.5-inch ribbon. And I like to make bows with multiple ribbons. So I'm going to go to my stash and pull out some that will work with this design. I'm going to start with this ribbon. It's a 4-inch ribbon. And let's see, we need a pipe cleaner. Put the pipe cleaner down at the bottom of the bow, and then we build the bow on top of it. All right. Now, let's start with, the bow is going to be on the bottom quadrant of the wreath, kind of like between 9 o'clock and 8 o'clock, I think is where the bow is going to be. So I'm going to leave a little bit longer tail at the bottom so it can hang down a bit. Now, we always twist the ribbon once it's in the bow maker so that the inside of the ribbon, or the wrong side of the ribbon, comes up. And then you fold it over, and you'll see that the correct side will then come up from the bottom around the bow. We're going to start with about a 7.5-inch loop. It's very thick ribbon. We're going to put it in on this side, and now just compress the ribbon. We don't need to twist it because we're done making loops out of this ribbon. So just cut it off. And we will probably cut this down quite a bit, but you cannot add ribbon to a bow, but you can always cut it away. So it's easier if you just cut it a little longer than you think you may need. Give yourself some leeway. Okay, now the next ribbon that I'd like to add to this is, let's go with the green. Now this is a directional ribbon. You can see all the mushrooms are going up. If you put it in like this, the mushrooms would be going down. So this will work. I'm going to dovetail it first. And when I start down here with one ribbon, the next ribbon I start up at the top. So this is a good ribbon to do that with because it is directional. And then it will be laying the correct direction when we're all done. Okay, now we gave it the twist that we need in the middle so that the loops have the correct side showing. All right, we're going to twist again. And this time, on this loop, we're just compressing. And I just want to double check because this twist on the inside did not hold very well. Okay, so I have to pin it down just a little. Now, we're done with this ribbon, so we're just going to compress it. All right, let's move our loops where they belong. We'll continue with this X pattern. Okay, now as you can see, I'm going to dovetail this. As you can see, one of my loops has the mushrooms going down when I pull it down this way. So what we're going to do with this type of a problem, all you have to do is take that whole loop, hold it close to the stems, these stems of the bow maker, and just twist. And look at that. Now the mushrooms are growing up the right way on all 4 pieces of the ribbon, the 2 tails as well as the 2 loops. Okay, so just remember to just take the whole loop and twist it completely around, and it'll take care of your problem for you. Okay, I'm going to add this big ribbon in here. All right, it's another 2.5-inch ribbon, but I like the look of it, and it kind of mimics the back of the big 4-inch ribbon that we have. So again, we're just going to take and make a loop, twist, and then compress, because we're done with that ribbon as well. Okay, and I always just dovetail because it's easier to get them when I'm putting them in, as opposed to trying to remember to get them all when I'm all done. So just take the time now to do that. I can tell that this ribbon is going to have to be cut down, but we'll do that when we get the bow on the wreath. And okay, so this ribbon is done. Now I'm going to go in with the sunflower ribbon that came with the kit. We're going to start up at the top because our last ribbon started at the bottom. We'll work on our X, put it in. I'm going to pull this ribbon on my right hand towards me and twist with the other one backwards. There we go. I'll show you that again. Once I get my loop the right size, put it in between. All right. And now I'm going to twist with my left hand, the one with the watch, towards me. I'm going to turn that way, and this one is going to go the opposite way. And that's how you twist your ribbon. Okay. Now this last loop we don't need to twist. We'll just compress that ribbon in the middle, make our X with the ribbons and loops and tails, and then dovetail this bottom tail. Just fold it in half, cut from the fold to the point. There we go. Okay. Now let's add, okay, we used yellow in the tails, and so we're going to leave these last three. We're going to use them in that order, I think. We'll go black, yellow, and then green. We'll finish off with the green on top. Okay, so quickly put this in. Now you don't need to make this many loops and tails. You can use simply the 3 ribbons that came in the kit. They're beautifully matched. They make a great bow. But I sell my wreaths that I make, and this is kind of like a signature design for me, many different ribbons in my bows. So I usually just go through my stash of ribbons and find some that work. And believe me, I can always find some that work. All right, so again, we have the X going. All right. Pull this one off. Now let's put the yellow on. And we're going to start from the top this time. Twist it. Give it a good twist. Push down. Make your loops. And each loop is slightly smaller than the one before it. Let's pull them out. And finally, our last ribbon is the green and white Swiss dot. This one came with the kit. I'm going to start at the bottom, give it a twist. Compress it because we're done. Then we're going to dovetail. Take it up to the top. And there we go. I can already tell this one is a little too long, so I'm just going to cut it right away. Dovetail it so that it's more in line with the appropriate length that it should be. Okay, so I'm just kind of lining up my ribbons. I know that the 1.5s, I wanted them to kind of space out. See the yellow, green, black, and white. And there we go. All right, now comes the hard part, and that's taking off the bow. And it's really not hard, it's just important because you don't want your stack to shift. So I'm going to use a zip tie, a large zip tie. I'm going to slide it underneath. Make sure that it's underneath that pipe cleaner, which we started. That was the very first thing we put in this bow. But by making sure that we're underneath that pipe cleaner, we know that that pipe cleaner is going to be caught in the zip tie, and then we can attach the bow to the wreath with it. Now what I like to do is just get it started, get a little tension on it before I start lifting the bow off of the bow maker. There you go. And then with your hand, compress it as best you can. What I usually do is I don't pull that bow out until I have a lot of tension on that zip tie. That relieves my hand from having to provide that tension to hold that bow in. And then you can see that the zip tie goes into the valley that's caused by the pegs here, or was actually created by the pegs. Now we're just tightening it and holding that stack still, and there you go. Okay. Now we just need to clear the room a little bit. We'll take away this. I'll get my wire cutters to cut this off. Now let's fluff our bow. Okay, so we're going to take the big loop, the 4-inch, which is, we know is the first loop we put in. I like to just put my hand in the middle of it to really hold it down and firmly twist this tail up. Okay, then the next one was our mushroom ribbon. We're just taking and pulling on the tail with one hand and the loop on the other. Now the beige ribbon was next, and we do the same thing. Pull on the tail and pull on the loop in opposite directions. Our next one was the sunflower. Do the same thing there. Okay. And then we have the black and white. We have the yellow. And then we have the green. Okay, so you have all three and all the tails in the middle. All right, so now we're going to do that same technique on the other side. Just turn your bow around. We're going to take and hold on to that big 4-inch loop and slide the tail downward. Okay, and then the mushroom is underneath here. I'm going to pull that one, that loop, and this tail in opposite directions. Now with the beige burlap, loop and tail in opposite directions. And then the sunflower and the tail and the loop in different directions. All right. Now we know that the black and white is the next one, so I'm just going to continue this process, just pulling them and separating them, and then the green will be in the middle. So just now that you have them spread in the areas that you want it, just give each loop a little life. And if you take your ribbon and just run your hand under it like that, it gives it a little bit of a curl, an arch downward, shall we say. Okay, just carry them over. Give each loop a little life, especially this big 4-incher, because if you use a 4-inch ribbon, it really, really gives dimension to your bow. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to use, a good 4-inch ribbon, and you shouldn't shy away from them. They're very easy to use. They're like every other ribbon. You just have to give it a good twist in the middle, because that's what keeps your bow all in line. Oops, forgot to dovetail this one. Okay, and then this one here, because it's got a unique back to it, I'm going to take and just roll it. just give it a roll so it has a little bit of a uniqueness to it. And see how it holds that roll? Because the wire in this ribbon is so nice. I'm going to do the same thing with the top tail. I'm just going to give it a little roll. That's why I left it a little bit longer than I normally would on the top. And then this one I can tell is a little too long, sticking out behind, beyond our first loop. So I don't want that. I'm just going to take and cut it down, dovetail it, get it more in line with the rest. So there you have it. There's our bow. All right. Now, I normally would put the sign and the bow in, but I'm going to do a little bit extra on this wreath. And all of the supplies that I'm going to use for this extra portion they've all come from Trendy Tree. When I got the design, this subscription box sent to me, I looked at it and went back onto their website to kind of get a few extra things so that I can add them to the wreath to give it a little bit more uniqueness. Now, you don't have to do that. You can simply put your sign and your bow on and call your wreath complete, and it will be an absolutely gorgeous wreath. There's no doubt about that. But I just like to do a little bit of extra, and if I can inspire you or show you a few things, that would be great. So what I'm going to do is, let me just clear the decks for us, and I'll show you some quick tips on how to add some florals to your wreath with minimal effort. Okay, so let's just quickly review. Here's our wreath. Here's my bow zone. All right, I'm going to put the bow kind of at between 8 and 9 o'clock, and I'm going to put my sign up at the top. We decided, of course, to do it that way so that the bow doesn't impinge on any of the words or the beautiful sunflower of that sign, okay? Just kind of have to tilt it a little bit. Once you put your bow in, you can manipulate it so that it doesn't cover up everything. Okay, so if you wanted to assemble the wreath like that and be done, like I said, it's absolutely a gorgeous wreath as it is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the sign in exactly there. And what I'd like to do before I put my bow in, I'd like to build out this area right here with some florals. And like I said, I purchased those from Trendy Tree. I went on their website and they have so much to choose from. So let's do this. Let's put the sign in right now. We know exactly where that's going to go. And all you have to do is fish these pipe cleaners down through the wreath, and you want to definitely make sure that your pipe cleaner straddles one of the rails that are on the bottom of the work frame. That way it gives your sign some stability. You don't want the pipe cleaners just to go through mesh. You want a rail, and I'll turn this over and show you quickly what I mean by that. All right. Pull it into place, and then I'm going to just twist it on. Okay, and this gives me a chance just to fix the ribbon tails before I secure the other. There we go. All right, now I did this corner. Now I go across and do the diagonal corner. And again, from underneath, I'm fishing this through the mesh and around one of the rails of the wreath frame. Pull it down snugly. And I don't really pull too hard. I don't want it to disappear into the mesh. I don't want the mesh to crawl over the top of my sign. So I just get it to where it's a little bit of a tension, and then I pull it down. All right, I'll do the same with this one. And make sure that I'm straddling the wreath frame. And let's do our last corner. Okay, and just there we go. All right, now just take a little bit of time and smooth out your ribbon tails. Okay, and let me just turn over and show you the connection that I made, where I hooked these up. All right, you can see that each one is around the wire frame of the wreath. Okay, so as long as you do that, your sign will go on, and it'll be a very stable, connection there. You don't have to worry about it moving, shifting down, or okay, we'll just cut those. And all I do is just bend them back up, back into the mesh. And our sign is all attached. Okay? There we go. Now, before I put my bow on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out this area between these two pipe cleaners with some florals that I purchased, again, from Trendy Tree. I have these. Let's see, these are, I think they're considered Gerber daisies, like small Gerber daisies. Let me just double check. Yes, this is the Gerber spray. I have a wonderful sunflower bush. This is absolutely gorgeous sunflower bush. All right. And then the last thing I have is I think they call this a foxtail bush. It's a filler bush. I think it's a dahlia. This flower is a dahlia. And then the rest of it is a foxtail. And I'm looking for the price. Oh, here it is. Okay. And let's see. It's 83915 YEL. Yes, it's called a yellow dahlia foxtail bush. All right. So those are the three that I'm going to use. I'm not going to use all of them. So I'll show you what I do with that in our next segment. Now, what I've done is I cut apart the bushes, the foxtail bush and the sunflower bush. All right, just cut them into pieces. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically make a little swag or just a grouping of flowers. We're going to put them together. All right. Let's just put them like this. And just kind of work with them. You want the heads to go different directions. Now, they're all wired, so all I'm doing really at this point is just trying to get them in kind of like a triangle, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the ends down here and zip tie them. Now I've done this already with one bush. I'm going to zip tie these ends down here. Just like that. Okay. And if you can see, I've gone in between so that you can't really pull those out. But we're not going to worry about that because once we get this in our wreath, I'm going to dab some glue on it and make sure that it all stays in place. Okay, now here's a few of my spares that we're going to save till we get this in the wreath. And now you can see I have 2 bushes or groupings of these flowers. And once we get them in the wreath, I'll show you how to fluff them out and pull the smaller flowers to the openings. But let's just put them in the wreath for now. Okay, so we're bringing back the wreath. Remember, my bow zone is down here. All right. Now I want these to kind of go up around the sign. Okay, and remember that tie right here, this twist tie that we left without ribbons? I'm just going to tie this in for now as tightly as I can. Okay, so that we get the shape of our flower attachment like that. Okay, now we're going to I'm going to just cut this. This is a little extra long. We don't need that. And now I'm going to take this one and put it on the bottom. I'm going to give this one just a little bit of a curve so that it hugs the bottom of the wreath. You see how that's working its way on the bottom? And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put this bunch into the second tie that I didn't put ribbon tails in. Okay, so there we have kind of our very rough placement. All right, but do you see how it kind of goes around the bow zone? Now we'll take this bow. We're going to put the bow in to this area here. Let me just give this a quick snip there. Okay. And now we're just going to take and feed our bow through, straddle those 2 ties that we're going to hide. And we're going to do this again. We're going to make sure that the chenille stems or pipe cleaners are surrounding one of the rails of the wreath. Okay, let me just feel my way there. Let's see if I've got what I need. There it is. Okay, now let's get our bow in better position. And I will take the time to adjust all the tails on the bow and the loops to make sure that nothing is covering up. Now I'm going to pull down, give it a good pull so that the bow is into the wreath as opposed to just sitting on top of it. Okay, twisting it up. Okay. So now let's see what this all looks like. Let's adjust everything and see if we need what we need to do to add. Okay. Just kind of put your ribbon tails underneath the bow, underneath the florals, let them come through. Okay. And just as in real life, the heads are all different directions. You don't want them all looking at you. All right, now let's just take each section at a time. Remember, we have these little flowers. Okay, we want to just kind of pull them through so that they come through the top and accent the sunflowers that are there. All right, same on this one here. Our flowers are right here. I'm actually going to pull this one around the back behind this. There we go. And we should have one more. There he is. There's the other dahlia. Okay. You can see how really it was very, very simple just to add those flowers, because I built them off of the wreath and then just attached them in the bow area, the bow zone. Okay. You can still see the sunflower on the sign. Okay, now I have a few more pieces left, and what I really would like to do is I'm going to shoot some glue into that area where the bow, if I'm happy with the placement of the bow and the, let me just put this in, there we go. All right, so since I'm happy with how it all is placed, what I'm going to do is, as soon as my glue gun heats up, I'm going to just take and lift up the bow and sprinkle glue, shoot some glue right on those twist ties that are holding the flowers in place. All right. Now the last thing that I'm going to do, and again, this is just to show you some new things. These were extra pieces from the stems. And what I'm going to do, these are pushers. I'm going to push them up, make them short. And I'm going to just glue these directly into the wreath or the bow as soon as the glue is hot. But kind of just fill in. You'll see that there are little areas that could use, I think down here, I probably need a little something something. So let me put this one down there. And I'm going to, like I said, I'll glue these in as soon as I determine that I'm good with the placement. Maybe what I need to do is put this one under the bow to give it a little, I'll separate the bow like that. Okay, and as soon as my glue is warm, all right, but see how they just kind of looks like it's coming, growing out. Well, you really can't see it because of this, but that's easily taken care of, right? We'll just trim this up a bit, give it an arch. Okay, this one is a little long for my liking. We'll just trim that one up too. Okay, and then these are just our ones. Now when this is on a door or a wall, these tails will hang straight down. Give it just a little bit of length on that side. All right, now, so those took care of those two little extra pieces. Now I still have my white flowers. And these I'm just going to trim off of the stems, and then I'll just place these in the arrangement with glue. And that's a little easier way to do it with when you just have a few to add like this. Let's just take here's three for the top and 3 for the bottom. And I think then that's probably all we'll need for this. But by doing it singly like this with glue, you can place them in the spots that you feel you need the pop of white. Okay, so let me double check. I think that these are good to go. I'm gonna just lift up the bow, put this in my glue pot, and when you put it back into your wreath, just kind of jiggle it around so that it catches some of the ribbon tails and the wires, the ties. And we'll do the same with this one. Get it deep in there and wiggle it so that it catches. Okay. I haven't forgotten to lift the bow and put the glue in. I'm just waiting for my gun to warm up just a bit longer. Okay, so now let's just put these white flowers where we think they need to go, okay? And again, I'm just going to glue these in. When I'm happy with the placement, I'll just glue them in. We're working in triangles, just kind of giving a little white in this area with a triangle, in a triangle. Triangles are perfect in floral arrangements because it draws your eye, brings your eye around. It needs a little shorter to get it in the spot I'm thinking of. Now, can you see that? See how this is a triangle? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I will go in and glue these real quick. What I do is I usually just pull them out, kind of put my finger where they're going to go back in. That way I don't have to reinvent the wheel. There we go. Wiggle it a little bit to get it secure. All right, now I'm going to put this one in here. And finally, this one down below. There we go. Now let's do the same with the top. I know I definitely want one to come out here. Fill in that space there. I think we need one here. And I'm a generous gluer, I think. I don't ever want to get to a place where I'm handing this wreath over to the new owner and something falls out. So I am a very heavy-handed gluer, I believe. I believe if I had to describe myself, that's what I'd say. Now I think I'm going to try to work one in right here. Give it a little tilt forward to the side, maybe. I like the green coming out, and what I may need to do is just straighten this one up a bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, so let's, well, if that's, maybe now I need one up here. Now suddenly I have a gap. By straightening it out, I have a little bit of a gap that I can see, which is going to bother me, I think. Okay, so I'm going to put it back where I originally thought and see if I have one more piece I could put in that gap. I can trim it off of another branch or okay, so there we go. Right, so now I think my glue gun is hot enough. I'm just going to lift up my bow and get it in. Ooh. Now what I'm going to try to do is get to the, my glue gun is extremely hot in the handle. I think it was resting on my on my glue pot, which is not good. All right, so I lift up the skirt and give it some, there it is. That's where we need to put it. And right there, I can see my zip ties. All right, so that is well glued. All right. I just need to take a look at this on camera to see if everything is where I want it. Yep. So there you have it. There's the wreath. It's the February Wreath kit. You will always be my sunshine. A gorgeous kit, even without the flowers, but if you have a chance or the inclination, go to trendytree.com and you can find all of the same flowers or similar flowers that you like if you feel like enhancing the wreath a little bit more. I really appreciate you spending the time with me. Thank you very much and have a great day.